So good morning, everybody, and good Shabbos. We're ready to begin our service. We invite you to open up your prayer books, and we turn to page 147. It's an honor to have all of you here this morning as we celebrate Shabbat, and we celebrate the bat mitzvah of Haley Lane. The cantor will begin towards the top of page 147 with Shochenat.
שוכן מרום וקדוש שמו וחשוב רנינו צדיקים באדוני לישרים נבטלה בפי ישרים תתהלל ובדברי צדיקים תתברך ובלשון חסידים תתרומם ובקרב קדושים תתקדש ובמחלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל בעיני פאר שמך מכן בכל ובדור שכן חומי כל היצרים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו להודות להלל לשבח לפאר לרומם להדר לברך להלל ולקלס על כל דברי שירות ותשבחות דוד בן ישי עבדך משיחך ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו.
Page 148.
ברכות והודאות מעתה ועד עולם ברוך אתה אדוני אל מלך גדול תשבחות אל ההודעות אדון הנפלאות הבוחר בשירי זמרה
Please rise to the middle of page 148.
Yitkada veyitkada shemei Rabba Be'amadi frachirte be'amlich machute V'chayachon uvyom echon uv'chayedecho be'Yisrael Ba'akalav izman kariv ve'imeru amen Ba'akalav izman kariv ve'imeru amen Amen Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'amei amaya Yitbarach Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitroman ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei nekudesha b'richu le'ela mincho birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechemata damiran be'ama ve'imeru amen ve'imeru amen ve'imeru amen ve'imeru amen amen.
Page 149.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach
Baruch Adonai Baruch le'olam va'ed
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or v'chashech osei shalom uvarei et hakol.
And please be seated now as we continue on page 150.
ויסודותך מלכין לחיים הבא. אפס פירתך גולה למות המשיח, ואין לו מלך המשיח לתחיית המתים.
Page 151.
אל אדון על כל המעשים, ברוך ומבורך ולפי כל נשמה, גודלו וטובו מלא עולם, דעת ותבונה סובבים אותו, המתפאר חיות הקודש ונדר בכבוד, על מרכבה זכות ומישור לפני חיסו, חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו, טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו, יצרם ודעת בבינה ובשכל, כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים מקרב תבל, מלאים זיו ופיקים נור גנאי זיוון, וכל העולם שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם, עושים בהם הרצון כלם, וערב וכבוד נותנים לשמוע, זוהר ורינה לזכר מלכותו, קרא לשמש ויזרח אור, רעל וחידקין צורת הלבנה, שבח נותנים לו כל צבא תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש. Page 152 לאל אשר שבכל מעשים. תתברך מושינו שבח מעשיך, ועל מאוריהו שסתברו חסלה. תתברך צורני מכין וגואלנו. Page 153, first carat. כולם אחובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים בעמל ורצון קונם, וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה וטהרה, בשירה ובזמרה ובזמרה, בשירה ובזמרה ובזמרה, ומברכים ושבחים ומפארים ומריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, קדוש הוא. וכולם מקבלים אליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש עצמם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ועמל קדושה. כולם כחלונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. ואופנים בחיות הקודש, ברעש גדול מתנסים אליהם עצמם שרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים, ברוך כבוד אדוני ימים כל לאל, ברוך לימוד יתנו. אור חדש על ציון, על ציון תאיר, ונזכר כולנו מהרה אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכר כולנו מהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. Page 154. אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ותורה חמת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו, בעבור אבותינו, שבת כל לך, שבת כל בך, ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תכוננו תלמדנו אבינו על פרחמן, המרחם רחם עלינו, ותן בליבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, והארנו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראת שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, לא נבוש לעולם ועד, כי בשם הקודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך, והביאנו לשלום בארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו כל מיעוט לארצנו, כי להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה, ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר במו ישראל באהבה.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, ושרתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו לכם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיר תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריכם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. page 157. לדור ודור הוא קיים ושמו קיים וחיסון נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו לעד קיימת. אמת שטעון עלינו ולאוי אבותינו מלכנו מלך אבותינו גואל גבורתנו יוצרנו צור ישועתנו כבודנו מציל המלך שמך אין אלוהים זולתך עזרת אבותינו אתה לעולם אבנים שלי תהי לעד לעליון ברוך ומברך משה בני ישראל יכולנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו לכל עם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך לדור בקודש נורא תהי לו את אוסף אלה נורא תהי לו את אוסף אלה שירה חדשה שימחו גאולים לשמך שפת היום יחד כולנו הודו באים ליחול ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד צור ישראל כלומר בעזרת ישראל ותכינו ממך יהודה
Please rise.
וישראל גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Gomel Chachol V'Zocher Chazdei Avot Umevi Goel Ifnei Bneihem Le'eman Shemo V'Yahava Melech Ozer Ufokedu Mashiach Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ufoked Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Meitim Atarav Le'Oshiach Masher Baruch Umarid Hagashem Mechakel Chaim V'Chesed Mechayei Meitim V'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofech Cholim Umatir Asurim Umechayem Emunato Lishanei Afar Michamocha B'Gevorot Umidom Elah Melech B'Mid Umechayeh Umayitzmiach Yeshua Ne'eman atah lechayot mitim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hametim
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול אדיר משמיעים קול עז וקול רעש גדול עדי וחזק משמיעים קול מתנשאים לעומת צרפים מתנשאים לעומת צרפים לעומתם ברוך יאמרו ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו כי מחכים אנחנו לך מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב בימינו לעולם ועד תשכון תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך לדור ודור ולנצח נצחים ועינינו תראינה מלכותך כדבר חמור בשירי עוזך דוד משיח צדקך ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור הללויה
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך ולנצח נצחים ולנצח נצחים קדוש אני קדיש קדיש משיחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור
לדור ודור נגיד גדלך כי המלך גדול גדול וקדוש גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
And as you finish your silent prayer, you may be seated. As we now turn to page 167 for the Kaddish Shalom.
יקרא ויקרא kadashame rabba Ve'amadi vrachirte Ve'amlich malchute V'chayachonu v'yomechonu v'chaydecho b'Yisrael B'agalav izman kariv v'yimeru Amen Yeheshmei rabba mevarach Le'alam u'lamei amaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitshomam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitoleh v'yitala Shemei d'kudasha b'richu Le'elam yichol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Tamiran be'ama v'yimeru Amen Titkabat zelotechonu ve'utechon d'chol Yisrael Kodam avuhon divishmaya v'yimeru Amen Yehi shalom araba min shemaya V'chayim aleinu ve'ol kol Yisrael v'yimeru Amen Yehi shmei ra'asei shalom b'imramav Hu ya'asei shalom aleinu ve'ol kol Yisrael v'yimeru
We've now reached the heart of our service this morning, our Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our Torah service. And I'd like to invite all those with aliyahs and honors during our Torah service to come sit over here in this section of our sanctuary so our Gabaim can find you at the appropriate times during our service this morning. And just a reminder to silence your cell phones as we reach our Torah reading this morning so we can make sure we can all hear the important and beautiful chanting of the Torah. Let's now turn to page 168 as Cantor Goldman leads us in Ein Kamocha.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai Ve'ein kema'asecha Malchutecha malchut kol olamim U'memshaltecha bechodul v'adur Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai melech le'olam v'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo b'shalom Alfai rachamim heitiv v'irtzonecha et Zion Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim Tivnei chomot Yerushalayim Ki v'chol levad batachnu Melech Eram v'nisa Adon olamim
Please rise.
Vayehi bin Saharon, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, Ve'afutzu oivecha, Ve'anusu mitzanecha, mipanecha, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, U'devar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. Bottom of page 170. Be'on harachetz, Velish Mekadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anna Emotush Bechan, Be Anna Rachetz, Be Anna Rachetz, Velish Mekadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anna Emotush Bechan, Yehi Ra'ava Kodamach, Vetiftach libi be'oraita, Vetashlim mishalim delibi, Velibad chol amach Yisrael, Letav ulchain, Velishlam, Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Bo yachdav lecha Adonai הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת וחנצח והחול כי יכול בשמיים ובארץ כי יכול בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני המלאכה והמתנשא לכל ראש. You may be seated. We now transition from our medium-sized red books to our very heavy red books, our Chumash that has all the Torah and the related Haftorah readings. This week we are in the Parsha of Bo, and Bo was really where the action, it's kind of hitting a pinnacle. Like in the Prince of Egypt movie, this is when like things were happening. We have our final few plagues. We had a lot of plagues last week. Didn't seem to do the trick, so we have our final few plagues this week, and we finally get freedom, and then with freedom, of course, comes rules. So we start with a lot of action, and then a lot more action, and then a lot of rules. A few rules, but there's some pretty good rules. So we're going to be in our big, heavy red Eitz Chaim Chumash on page 374, chapter 10, verse 1.
ויעזור ויגם יושיע לכל הכוסים בו ונאמר אמן הכל עבו גודל אלוהינו נוחה ולתורה יעמדו ראשון ברוך שנתן תורה לעם ישראל בקדושתו ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם Chaim Uchem Hayam.
For the first Aliyah, we call grandparents Elaine and David Lane. Reader is Dad, Rob Lane. And as the rabbi mentioned, we're on page 374, chapter 10, verses 1 through 3.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה בוא אל פרעה כי אני כיוותי את ליבו ואת לב עבדיו למען שיתי אותותי אלה בקרבו ולמען תסבר באוזני בנך ובין בנך את אשר התעללתי במצרים ואת אותותי אשר שמתי בם ויתתם כי אני אדוני ויבוא משה ואהרון אל פרעה ויאמרו אליו כה אמר אדוני אלוהי העברים עד מתי מאנת לענות מפני שלח עמי ויעבדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamdu Sheni.
For the second Aliyah, we call Haley's grandparents, Saba and Safta, Sarah and Abraham Gleich. The reader is Brother Jack. Now we're on page 375, verses 4 through 6.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן. כי עמהן אתה לשלח את עמי, הנני מביא מחר, הרבה בגבולך. וכיסה את עין הארץ, ולא יוכל לראות את הארץ, ואכל את יתר הפליטה הנשארת לכם מן הברד, ואכל את כל העץ הצמח לכם מן השדה, ומלאו בתיך ובתי כל עבדיך ובתי כל מצרים, אשר לא ראו אבותיך ואבות אבותיך מיום היותם על האדמה. היום הזה, ויפן ויצא מעם פרעה.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן.
So, trying to be fair, Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, there's going to be another plague. We're going to have locusts. I've been out in San Saba. There's locusts. They're this big. So I can imagine how it looked when Moses said, the whole land is going to be covered in locusts, and they're going to eat all of the food. That's a big concern when you are basically the food-producing nation in that area. So you got to know, Moses says, there's going to be a plague of locusts, and they're going to eat everything. And God is saying to me to tell you, how long are you going to stop listening to me? How long is it going to take for you to start listening to God? And then they leave. And then Pharaoh has some advisors who come and give him a little bit of advice. And that's what you're going to hear now.
Yamdu Shlishi.
For the third Leah, great uncle Yossi Gleich, together with brother Jack. The readers are Beth Yeshurun Balkore, Rabbi Danny Horwitz. We're on page 375, verses 7 through 11.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Vayomeru of day Pharaoh elav. Ad matai yiyez elan l'mokesh. Shalach et hanashim v'yavdu et Adonai Eloheihem. Haterem teda ki avdam mitzvahim vayushav. And Moshe v'yed Aaron el Paro vayomer aleihem. Lechu yivdu et Adonai Eloheihem. Mi vami haholchim. Vayomer Moshe, v'nareinu v'izkeneinu nelech, v'vanenu v'ivnotenu, v'tzonenu v'ivkareinu nelech, yichag Adonai lanu, vayomer aleihem, yehichen Adonai imachem, kasher ashalach etchem b'yetapchem, re'u, ki ra neged b'nechem, lochein, l'chu nahag varim v'yivdu et Adonai, ki otatem mevakshim, Vayagaresh otam me'ed pnei Pharaoh.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Yamdu Revi.
For the fourth Leah, call aunts Rachel Ann Bradbury and Lauren Payne. The reading is on page 376, verses 12 through 15.
Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai, Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Netei yadcha al eretz Mitzrayim barbe, Vayal al eretz Mitzrayim, Vayochel et kol esav haaretz, Ve'ed kol asher hishir habarad, Vayed Moshe et matehu al eretz Mitzrayim, Vadonai, Niag rachadim baretz kol hayom u'v'kol halayla, Haboker haya v'ruach hakadim nasa et ha'arbeh, vayal arbeh al kol eretz Mitzrayim, vayanach b'chol gavul Mitzrayim, kaved ma'od lefanav, lo hayachen arbeh kamohu v'yacharav lo yiyechen, vayechas et ein kol haaretz, v'techshach haaretz, Vayokal ein kol esav haaretz v'et kol beri ha'etz asher hotir habarad v'lonotar kol yarek ba'etz u'esav hasadeh b'chol eretz Mitzrayim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Yamdu Chamishi.
For the fifth Leah, cousins Ethan and Asher Gleich. We're on page 376, verses 16 through 23.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Vayamaher paro likro l'Moshe u'la'Aaron vayomer chatati l'Adonai Elohechem velachem v'yata sana chatati achapam v'tiru Adonai Elohechem vayaser me'alai roketem avirazeh vayetze me'im paro vayeter el Adonai vayavoch Adonai roch yam chazak mon vayisa et harbe vayitkaeu yam masuf lo nisher bechad b'chol gevul Mitzrayim vaychazek Adonai et lev paro v'lo shilach et b'nei Yisrael vayomer Adonai el Moshe netei yadcha l'shamayim vayichoshech al eretz Mitzrayim vayahamesh choshech vayed Moshe et yado l'shamayim vayehi choshech afela kol eretz Mitzrayim shloshet yamim v'lo ra'u ish et achiv v'lo kamu ish mitachtav shloshet yamim v'lechol b'nei Yisrael haya or b'moshvotam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We pause during our Torah reading to say a Mishaberach for the Cholim, a prayer for those who are in need of healing. Not because we think God is listening any harder now because we're reading Torah, but because I think our hearts are more focused towards things that are bigger and more important than us, especially those we know who are in need of a little healing right now. And I think these days everybody knows somebody who needs a little healing. So if there's anyone in your life, anyone you can think of, Jewish, not Jewish, English name, Hebrew name, God understands all of them, who needs a little bit of healing their body, their mind, their soul, their spirit, I'm going to say the prayer in Hebrew. I'm going to read the names that I have here. And then if you'd like to add a name or names of people you know, you can add them in your heart, you can add them at your seat, or you can come up here and you can say those names to all of us so we can all think of the people we need a little bit of healing these days. So I'll say, Mishaberach Avraham Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sari v'Karechevla Yirech Rebe et Kol HaHolim Ha'ele, Avraham Yitzhak ben Chaim, Daniel bat Noga, David ben Basha, David Lev, ben Yaakov HaKohen, Emmanuel ben Yafa, Gad Mordechai HaLevi, ben Nechamatova, Getalea bat Devorah Ruth, Chana bat Avraham v'Sarah, Chana bat Gala, Hinda Cyril bat Esther, Yaakov, David ben Gita, Leah Malka bat Sibia Sima, Leah Rachel bat Malka Sora, Liba bat Malka, Malka bat Sipi, Miriam bat Chaya Leah, Miriam bat Rachel, Misha Chaya bat Hana Edka, Mordechai ben Bluma Rachel, Pesach ben Bela, Rachel bat Liba, Ruvain, Ephraim ben Rezel, Rivka Rachel, Leah bat Sararana, Sarah Shulamis bat Sarimenu, Shalom Yaakov ben Tuba, Shmuel ben Devorah Bela, Shulamit bat Buna Rezel ve'Eliezer, Tinok ben Mushka, Yechiel Michal ben Devorah Itzai, Yosef HaKohen ben Asna, Fonda Arts, Marty Block, Linda Bloom, Karen Bodner, Paul Bryant, Rona Caress, Marla Davidoff, David Danberg, Ali von Ehrencook, Hanya Fetterman, Harvey J. Freiberg, Nellie Ora Garson, Charles Goldberg, Felicia Goldberg, Megan Goldsmith, James Hampton, Virginia Hattenbach, Howard Kaplan, Sarah Klein, Jimmy Last, Dick Lesner, Yvonne Levine, Harry Melnick, Vicky Mitrani, Floyd O'Kelly, Marcia Pappert, Gabrielle Perez, Ellen Petras, Danielle Pirano, Shirley Rich, Rose G. Rose, Steve Davis Rosenbaum, Charisse Fallas Sands, Julie Scheinfeld, Jerry Scheinak, Diane and Richard Shapiro, Eddie Shukar, Fran Spector, Jonna Mike and Addie Stat, Phyllis Steithart, Debbie Stein, Lucy Susie, Sylvia Danberg Volpe, Michael Wheeler.
Chaba bat Frida,
Lori Sander, Alex Shields, Ariel Sklar.
Reza Devora, Avram Fischel.
Freda bat Sivia, Yosefa Miriam bat Freda, Lyle Wexler, Charles Goldberg, Brittany Williams, Barry Bruder.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, may I bring blessing and healing and refuah shlema to all of our community who are in need of healing at this time. Bring them a healing of their body and their mind, their soul, their spirit. Bring strength, God, and knowledge to their doctors, nurses, and caregivers, because when they know what they're doing, the ones we love feel whole sooner. Bring strength, God, to us, those who love people in need of healing, because when we feel strong in your love, God, it's like a light that shines through us and onto the ones who need the healing the most. Give them the blessings you give all of your children, and let us all say, Amen.
Amen. Yom Du Shishi.
For the sixth Aliyah, aunt and uncle, Adrian and Asaf Gleich. We're on page 377, verses 24 through 29.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach
Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, venatan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayikra Pharaoh el Moshe. Vayomer lechu ivdu et Adonai rak. Zamchem uvkarchem yutzag. Gam tabchem yelech imachem. Vayomer Moshe. Gam ata titen biadenu zvachim bialor v'yasin l'Adonai Eloheinu. V'gam mikneinu yelech imanu. Lo tishayer parsa, ki mimenu nikach la'avod et Adonai Eloheinu, v'anachnu la'leda, v'na'avod et Adonai, ad bo'einu shama, v'ychazek Adonai elei paro v'rava l'shalcham, v'yomer lo paro lech me'alai, isha melecha, al tehosef rod panai, ki b'yom r'chaf panai tamud, Vayomer Moshe kein dibarta lo sifon rod panecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
All right, so before I was a rabbi, I was a Hebrew school teacher, and it shows. So we just had the plague of locusts. Did locusts convince Pharaoh to let all the Jews go? No, it didn't work. So then the next plague was sent, and it was the plague of darkness, choshech, which kind of begs the question. I get there being too many frogs, and you can't get rid of all the frogs yourself. Fine. And then the land is covered in locusts. You can't get rid of the locusts. Fine. But darkness seems like kind of an easy fix if you're an Egyptian. If the land is covered in darkness, can't you just turn on a light or light a candle or start a fire or something, right? That seems like it would be easy, but no. In fact, a couple thousand years ago, our ancient rabbis said that this was not a normal darkness. This was a darkness that was a primordial darkness, the darkness that existed before God created the lights. This was a darkness that was so thick it was palpable. It was almost something that got inside of your head. And I think we've all been in that place before where you're just kind of in your head in a dark place. I think that's the kind of darkness that the Egyptians were surrounded by, and no amount of light you turn on in your house is going to get rid of that darkness.
Yom Du Shvi'i.
For the seventh Aliyah, we call Haley's very proud parents, Don and Rob Lane. The reader, cousin Asher Gleich. We're on page 378, new chapter, chapter 11, verses 1 through 3.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe. Od nega echad aviv al paro ve'al mitzrayim. Acharei chen yishalach echem mizeh keshalcho kala garesh yigaresh echem mizeh. Daber na be'oznei ha'am vayishalu ish me'et re'ehu v'isha me'et re'uta klei chesef u'klei zahav vayiten Adonai Echen ha'am be'enei Mitzrayim, gam ha'ish Moshe, gadol me'od be'eretz Mitzrayim, be'enei avdei Pharaoh, be'enei ha'am.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
We rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkada v'yitkada shemei Rabbah v'yomad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael bagala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yesh med Rabba mevarach, Yalam Ram Neomaya, Yidbarach, Yidbarach v'yishtabach, v'yidpar, v'yitramam, v'yidnaseh, v'yidhadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shemei Kudusha B'richu, Li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'almaha v'imru amen.
Please be seated.
It's now our honor to call to the Torah Haley Lane.
Ta'amod, 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 bat mitzvah, chava bat Reuven v'dona, chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek.
His reading is at the bottom of page 393, verses 14 through 16.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'haya ki shalecha bincha machar lemor mazot, v'amarta elav bechazek yad, hotzianu Adonai mimitzrayim min beit avadim, vayehi ki hiksha Pharaoh leshalchenu, vayaharag Adonai kol bechor be'eretz Mitzrayim, min bechor adam ve'bechor behema, al kain ani zoveach l'Adonai, kol peter rechem hazecharim, bechor bechor banei efteh, v'haya le'ot al yadecha, u'totafot bein einecha, ki b'chazek yad, hotzianu Adonai mimitzrayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yam duamag b'bagalelen.
To lift and dress the Torah, we call upon Haley's great uncle and great aunt, Ed and Tanya Wayne. Please rise.
Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yar Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. You may be seated. Along with every reading from the Torah that we do during the week, we also have a piece from the prophets that is paired with it. This week we have a reading from the book of Jeremiah. Now, on first glance, you would say, oh, well, these two pieces are related because the Torah portion is about the Jews are in Egypt, and they're trying to get out of Egypt, and we finally do get out of Egypt. And the Haftarah is about Egypt. But more specifically, the Haftarah that we're reading for Parshat Bo, which we're reading this week in the Torah, Jeremiah is talking about Egypt. Egypt is not just this big, scary overlord, the way Egypt is portrayed in so much of the Torah. No, the Egypt that's being portrayed in the book of Jeremiah is an Egypt that's been laid low. This is an Egypt that's going to pay the price for being all those the bad guy in so many of those stories. This time, Egypt's finally getting theirs. So maybe it doesn't happen in the Torah so much. Maybe we don't see, people getting what you think, oh, this is like what they deserve. They were bad for so long, and they pretty much get off free, a couple plagues and they're done. But later on, the prophets, much, much later, we see Egypt really does kind of get theirs for being so bad to so many people for so long. So maybe it's a good lesson for us these days too. You look around, you think, oh, that's not fair. Good things are happening to bad people, and I try my hardest. But just know that, maybe it doesn't feel fair now, but maybe later on, people will get theirs for being not so good. Put a bad energy in the world, that bad energy will come back to you. That's in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 46, verse 13. And you can follow along as Haley reads her Bat Mitzvah Haftarah on page 395. Again, that's 395, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 46, verse 13. I'm kidding. We're not reading the Haftarah now. You have to hold on to that. She knows what she's doing. I don't know what I'm doing. You should be up here. You have the voice for it. But before you hear the Haftarah, you get to hear the Devar Torah, because we expect so much out of our B'nai Mitzvah. They not only have to learn Torah and the prayers and the Haftarah, they also have to write a Devar Torah. They have to look at their Torah portion and decide what's in here that was resonant for me. What is something in here that is so important I think you need to know about it? And so Haley was one of my favorite students. And she decided what she thought was so important in her Torah portion that she's going to teach it to you, because it's her responsibility as a Jewish adult now. And I think she's ready for it. She seems ready for being an adult, yeah? I'm getting a lot of nods. So before we hear her beautifully chanted Haftarah, Haley will deliver her Bat Mitzvah Devar Torah. Now go. Go.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. There you go.
My Torah portion, Parshat Bo, is when Moses and Aaron try to convince the most stubborn and most anti-Semitic person ever to let the Israelites go. That man is Kanye West. Pharaoh. God tells Moses and Aaron to go to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, or else a big, swarmy cloud of locusts will cover up all of Egypt. Pharaoh agrees, but only lets the men go. Moses and Aaron argue, but that makes Pharaoh mad, so his heart hardens, and the Israelites remain enslaved in Egypt. But locusts are annoying, and when Pharaoh tells Moses and Aaron that he cannot take this anymore, God hurls the locusts back to sea. Later, Moses and Aaron show up into Pharaoh's palace again, telling him to let the Israelites go. This time, Pharaoh lets all the people go, but not the cattle. Moses and Aaron tell Pharaoh that they need the cattle for food and sacrifices. But when Pharaoh won't budge and his heart hardens again, darkness appears on the land for 3 straight days. Once again, Pharaoh shouts at Moses and Aaron. God makes it light. But again, Pharaoh's heart hardens and he says, "Go, for I shall never see either of your faces ever again." Moses then tells Aaron to feed this one special line that he knew he would never forget. "You have spoken rightly. I shall never see your face again." Moses and Aaron then leave with still knowing the final plague, death of the firstborn, is about to happen. Moses gathers the Israelites that night and tells them to put the blood of a lamb on their doors and stay safe at night. Soon enough, on the 15th of Nisan, the clock strikes midnight. The angel of death kills all of the firstborn of Egypt, including Pharaoh's one and only son. It passes over all the Israelite houses, but you'll have to come back next week for the rest of that story. Parshat Bo is all about choices. Pharaoh makes selfish choices, and those poor choices have consequences, not only for himself, but for others as well. 10 horrible plagues, including the killing of the firstborn son, which also means Pharaoh's own son. Moses, on the other hand, makes hard choices. He continues to heed God's call, even though he knows Pharaoh will continue to go back on his word, and despite his stuttering, he confronts Pharaoh without Aaron's help. We all have difficult choices to make in our lives, and we can choose the selfish and easy, but often wrong choice, or the hard but ultimately right one. In my own life, the choices are simple. Do I spend time studying for my test, or do I just watch more TikTok? Do I practice for an audition, or do I do my snap streaks? Do I Do I pitch with my mom, or do I watch Stranger Things? I know in each case there's an easy choice, but it's not always the right one or the one that has me doing what's right for myself or others. Our choices have consequences, not only for ourselves, but for others too. Just like with Pharaoh, his stubbornness and arrogance caused every Egyptian to suffer the 10 plagues with him. In our lives, we should always try to think how our actions will affect us and the people around us. Doing so will help us live more worthy and rewarding lives. My becoming a bat mitzvah would not have been possible without lots of people. To the rabbis and canners, thank you. But I'd like to give a special thank you to Canner Dorf. For all the patience and long lessons with me, we've had so many lessons together. I think I may even have one scheduled this Sunday after my bat mitzvah. Jack, thank you for being such an amazing brother, writing me a song on the guitar in 2017, trying to teach me Madden and 2K, and telling me how much you love my humming. You're so supportive and always find happiness in my accomplishments. Natalie, thank you for being the most amazing sister anyone could ever ask for. I love our spy knits in your room, complete with a strong candle from Target. You're the funniest person I know, and your jokes always have the perfect timing. I love watching you play volleyball and softball. You're so incredible at just about any sport you play. We're the tiny but mighty sisters. I love you so much. Saba and Safta, you are such amazing grandparents. Safta, you're so funny. Whenever you're on the phone with anyone, you shout Avi Sheket when he interrupts you. It's so entertaining. Your cheesecake always makes my mouth water. You're so kind and generous. Saba, I love using you as my tree when we used to run around the house and we called you Monkey Saba. You're so fun and loud. Love you both. Peking Gamma, y'all are so amazing. I love it when you take me to Emmanuel to make sandwiches for kids' meals. Thank you for being one of the most generous grandparents I know. Love y'all so much. To my uncles and aunts, Adrian and Asaf, I love spending Friday nights with you. Asaf, whenever I'm in a bad mood, you drive me to get dessert. Adrian, you always think of the most creative and fun things to do. Lauren and Charlie, Rachel, Ann, and Brian, it is always special when you come in town or when we're able to get together with you in Nashville, Santa Fe, Boulder, or wherever. To my cousins, Devin, Mateo, and Brooks, we have so much fun when we are together. Thank you for coming. Ethan, people always tell me how much they love your hair. You do have good hair. Ella, we have so much in common. You're my theater buddy and you're kind of picky like me. And Asher, you're like my second brother. Thank you for being one of the best cousins ever. You're so much fun to be around, and I love your cooking creativity. I love all of y'all so much. To my parents, for all the times you played catch with me, showed me how to throw a ball and how to change the oil, thank you, Ima. You always leave work to deliver something for me at school that I forgot at home. Thank you for pitching and hitting with me. Thank you for coaching a lot of my softball teams and staying up at night helping me with Hebrew homework that I didn't finish. You're the best mom ever. I love you so much. Abba, you're an encyclopedia of information and I just know about everything, and you're so musically talented. Thank you for always helping me before my auditions and correcting me when I do something wrong. Thank you for coaching me, the Anacondas, my softball team, when I was in tenure. And thank you for finally making dad jokes, even if they aren't always funny. Majua, I love you. I could not have asked for a better dad. To all my family who have traveled here from as far away as San Antonio, Nashville, Albuquerque, Baltimore, Israel, and even Ukraine, thank you for making this journey and sharing this special weekend with me. Love all of y'all so much. Finally, to my friends, both softball and school, thank you for coming and celebrating this weekend with me. Y'all are so sweet and amazing, and I'm so glad to be friends with you. Shabbat Shalom.
I already told you what the Haftarah is, so we're not going to repeat that. But still, on the bottom of page 395, still the book of Jeremiah 46, verse 13.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav v'dibreihem v'ne'emarim emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'v'nvi'ei hamet b'tzedek.
Amen.
Hadavar asher diber Adonai el Yirmiyahu hanavi lavo Nebuchadnezzar melech Bavel lehakot et Eretz Mitzrayim hagidu v'Mitzrayim ve'ashmiu v'migdol ve'ashmiu v'nof Uftach panches imru hidyatsev ve'acheilach kiach lacherev sevivecha Madua nischaf avirecha Lamad Kirnai hadafo Hirba koshel Gam nafal ish al re'ehu V'yomeru kuma V'nashuv el ameinu Ve'el eretz moladatenu Mipnei cherev hayonah Karu sham Paro melech Mitzrayim shon Hevir hamawed Chai aninum hamelech Adonai tzevaot shemo Ki katavor beharim Uchecharmel bayam yavo Kele gola asilach Yoshevet bat Mitzrayim Ki nof l'shamatiyeh V'nitztam ein Yoshev Egla yefefiyah Mitzrayim Keretz mitzafon bava Gam sachirecha bekirba Ke'eglei marbek Ki gam hema hifnu Nasu yachtav lo amadu Ki yom edam Ba'alihem et pekudatam Kola kanachash yalech Ki v'chayil yalechu Uvkardumot ba'ula Kachot veitzim Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Tzur kol haolamim Tzadik bechol hadorot Ha'el ha'ne'eman Ha'omer ve'osei Hamdaber u'mkayem Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'ne'emanim devarecha V'debarachad midvarecha Achor lo yashuv rekam Ki hamelech ne'eman V'rachaman atah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el ha'ne'eman V'chol devarav Rachem al Tzion Ki hi beit chayenu V'laluvot nefesh toshia B'imheira ve'yameinu Baruch atah Adonai Mesameach Tzion bevaneha Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'eliyahu hanavi avdecha Uv'malchut Beit David Meshichecha B'imheira yavo Ve'yager libeinu Al kisolo yeshev zar Ve'lo yinchalu od acharim et kevodo Ki v'shem kodshecha nishbata lo Shelo yichbei neiro le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Magen David Al HaTorah Ve'al HaVodah Ve'al HaNevim Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdusha v'limnucha Lechavod ol tifaret Al hachol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu modim lach Uvarchim otach Yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai Tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat Amen
Siren tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siren tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siren tov, yeilanu, Lecho Yisrael, yeilanu, ulecho
We got plenty of candy up here, so all of our children, please come on up. We got plenty of space to clear, so all of our children, please come on up. And as our children come up, the cantor leads us in a special blessing for Haley and her family, that we hope and pray this will be the first of many, many simchas, surrounded by those that she loves. Come on, guys, here. Come on. Now the cantor can lead us in a special Shechianu blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, who's kept us in life, sustained us, and allowed us to reach this very special day. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
And now we call upon our congregational president, David Stein, to lead us in a prayer for the United States and Israel.
Thank you, Rabbi. Before I read the prayer for America and Israel, I would like to please ask the congregation for a moment of silence to remember those who tragically lost their lives yesterday in Jerusalem. Almighty God on high, omnipotent King, look down from your heavenly abode and bless the United States of America. May our leaders strive to establish justice and opportunity for all, and may they be successful in bringing peace to the family of nations. May your favor rest upon our beloved state of Israel, its land, and all those who dwell therein. Protect Israel from war and hatred, and may our Jewish state bring comfort to those who seek refuge, light to those who dwell in darkness, and new hope to all humanity. We ask your blessings upon the valiant servicemen and women of the American military forces and the Israel Defense Forces, who risk their lives to protect the welfare of all your creation. Be their shelter and fortress, and do not allow them to falter. Fill their hearts with faith and courage. Protect them on land, in the air, and on the sea. Guide them in peace, lead them toward peace, and return them speedily to their families, alive and unharmed. And let us all together say, Amen.
Thank you, David. And now the cantor leads us in a prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabbat Shemayim.
שבשמיים. צור ישראל וגואלו, ברך את מדינת ישראל. ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו, הגן הגן עליה, בברת חסדך, ופרוס עליך סוכת סוכת שלומך. ונאמר אמן. ונאמר
Thank you, Cantor. Next week, we look forward to celebrating the bar mitzvah of Ian Kaufman. And as is the Beth Yeshurun tradition, we ask Ian now to lead the Ashrei, which is found back in our prayer books on page 181.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha, od yechalelucha selach. Tehila le David, aromimcha Elohai hamelech, v'avarcha shimcha leolam va'ed. Hadar kevod hodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha. Zecherav tuvcha yabiyu, betzid katecha yiranenu. Tov Adonai lakol, rachamav al kol ma'asav. Kevod malchut hayomeru, ukvuratecha yidaberu. Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Einei kol elecha yisaberu, ve'eta noten lachem et ochlam be'ito. Sadik Adonai bechol drachav, ve'chasid bechol ma'asav. Ritzon yirav yaseh, ve'et shavetam yishma v'yoshiem. Tehillat Adonai yedaber pi, v'yivarek kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed. Va'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Ian. What a beautiful day this has been for Donna and Rob as they've seen their daughter Haley become a bat mitzvah. Now, before the open ark, they offer their parents prayers. Please rise.
Haley, we are so incredibly proud of you. You've worked so hard and diligently, most of the time, to get to today. In Hebrew, there is a proverb, En davar haomed bifnei ratzon, or commonly said in English, where there is a will, there is a way. When I think of you, I think of this proverb. You know what you want, and you know how to get it done, no matter what the obstacle is. My prayer for you is that you remain strong-willed and determined, confident, loyal, kind-hearted, empathetic, driven, and happy. To Abba and me, you are a shining star, and what you put your mind to, you will achieve because that's the kind of person you are. May you have the strength to always keep going despite any challenges you may face, to keep shining on stage with your sweet voice, to continue to fiercely fight against batters or pitchers who could devour you for breakfast, to continue to use the common sense, which you so often do, to make wise choices, to stay connected to your Jewish heritage and to Israel, and to always surround yourself with those who love you and support you. But above all, I pray that you remain physically and mentally healthy for 120 years. Thank you for being our Haley. We love you.
Haley, you are a beautiful, athletic, talented, intelligent young woman. You have the voice of an angel, and you are the epitome of tiny but mighty. You possess a determination that, while sometimes vexing to your mother and me, has driven you to succeed in all of your endeavors. You have been blessed by God, and we have been blessed by God with you. My prayer for you is inspired by the Unatana Tokef prayer we say during the high holidays. While the first half of the prayer speaks of fates we may not be able to avoid, the second half speaks of choices. Who will rest and who will wander, who will live in harmony and who will be harried, who will enjoy tranquility and who will suffer, who will be impoverished and who will be enriched, who will be degraded and who will be exalted. You identified this theme in your parashah as well when you spoke about the choices that we have to make and about the fact that you have to make smart choices in your life. May you always choose a path that brings you harmony, tranquility, and enriched life and full happiness. Majua.
And now, Lador Vador, from generation to generation, the Sefer Torah and all its teachings are passed down to our bat mitzvah, Haley.
Yeah, hallelujah, את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לימו. תהילה לכל החסידות, לפני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה.
All right, and you may be seated. Good Shabbos, everyone. I know none of us like someone, is annoyed by someone who has a big ego. Egos are never good to have as a friend and as a family member. An ego is different than having confidence. An ego is thinking that you know everything, that you're always right, and you never need to listen to the advice of anyone, even those closest to you. Someone with an ego who's so big that they overestimate their own abilities. They're a know-it-all. And over the past year, the world has had a perfect example of someone with an inflated ego, Vladimir Putin. We've all seen the destruction now over the last year that he's wreaked upon the innocent people of Ukraine, and even the people of his own country, with his economy in free fall and people leaving Russia. And yet he continues the destruction, the war, with no positive gains for anyone in the murder of thousands of innocents. How could he continue on this rampage? I'm sure there are people who want to tell him what he's doing is wrong. I'm sure his advisors would like to tell him. But they're either afraid that they'll kill him for it, or they know he won't listen anyway. They know his ego is too big. But the reality is, Putin is not alone. We've had tyrants over the centuries who thought they knew it all, that only they could make the right decisions, and they didn't need to listen to the advice of others. In our reading today, we see another tyrant who continues his reign of terror, despite the obvious failures. Pharaoh. We are all familiar with the actions of Pharaoh, and whether it's in the section of the Torah that we're reading this month, or of course during the Passover story. And like me, perhaps you wondered before, how could Pharaoh continue to go on after each single plague? Blood, frogs, lice, the plagues that continue to go on and continue to get worse and worse and worse. And yet Pharaoh does not listen. Pharaoh's convinced that only he knows right, that he has the interests of the Egyptians at heart, and he doesn't need to let the people go. Finally, in our Torah portion today, the people have the courage to say to him, "How long, Pharaoh, will you be a stumbling block to us? Let the people go and worship their God. Don't you know that Egypt is lost?" And even though Egypt had already suffered through 7 plagues, Pharaoh was still not letting them go. And they now beg Pharaoh to relent. They've had enough of the plagues. And at this point, it was clear to everyone in Egypt what would eventually happen. They would only suffer more plagues and worse plagues and more suffering to no end. And despite the harmful consequences, Pharaoh keeps indulging in the same destructive behavior. What Pharaoh did to his people, we see now Putin doing to his people in Russia. Now, my friends, it's easy to criticize someone like Pharaoh, other dictators over the ages, those with such big egos that they don't even listen to their advisors, as Pharaoh doesn't listen again to his advisors in our Torah portion today. But I think the question we need to ask on a very different level is, do our egos stop us from listening to those who care most about us? Are there times in our own lives where our egos are too inflated, where we think we know best, that we don't need the counsel, advice, even from those that love us the most. Pharaoh really was no different. To let his people go out of Egypt with all their children and all their belongings made the most sense if Pharaoh would have only listened to the counsel of his advisors from the beginning. But how often in your life has someone you trusted gave you good advice, but instead of listening, your pride, your ego has already taken over? And like Pharaoh, your heart has already been hardened. You tell yourself, I don't need to listen to anyone else. I know what's best. I always make right decisions. And so you respond to those who love you, don't tell me what to do. We think we know better. We refuse to even listen to those who care about us the most. I remember years ago, my wife Lisa and I had the opportunity to finally move, to get out of our small starter house. Lisa found a house that was on the market and was within our budget. It was an incredible deal, the perfect house for us. But we had to move fast before we lost it. Yet, I didn't want to hear it. I thought I knew what was best. I was the husband. I had to be the one to find the right house and make that big decision. I was being lazy and stubborn all at the same time. It was all about my pride. Fortunately, Lisa finally got through to me, and before someone else grabbed that house, we made the move. And I was reminded then, as I've learned over the years, that my wife is often right, that I should have just listened to her in the first place. Isn't that normally the case for us husbands? Our spouses speak to us, they tell us, we know what they're saying is the truth, but we don't want to listen. Our egos take over again and again. We have to be the ones to make the decisions. We're so great, we don't need anyone else's advice. But isn't that why we get married in the first place? Later this evening, I'll have the blessing of standing under the chuppah with the bride and groom. And I often remind new couples that marriage, our tradition reminds us that marriage is designed to allow us to spend our lives with someone who can get through to us. That's why we get married in the first place. We want to marry someone that we trust. Not only that we love, but we trust. Because we trust their wisdom. We trust their counsel. We know that we are marrying someone who can help us make better decisions by offering the guidance that all of us need. All of us at times in our lives feel so powerful, so wise, so brilliant. We're so incredible in our careers. Why would we need to listen to anyone? And we mistakenly think we can go through life without the counsel of someone else. But the blessing of being married is that we get to live day in and day out with someone who can get through to us. They may not always be right. Sometimes we are. But can we at least listen? And as we go through life, it can be even worse when it comes to our parents. I love what Mark Twain, the great American author, said over a century ago. Twain said once, "When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the odd man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much he had learned in 7 years." Yes, there soon comes an age when we may not want to admit it, but our mother or our father actually know a thing or two. They've lived longer lives than we have. They've been around the block a few times. And yet, as we get older, we want to be the ones choosing our own destinies. We don't need their advice anymore. We're old now. We're mothers or fathers ourselves. And we mistakenly believe we don't need the counsel of our parents at all. It's not to say that we have to follow their advice word for word, but can we at least be open to listening to them? Because not only can we be surprised or often appreciate the advice we'll get, most importantly, I would argue, for those of us who are blessed to have parents with us and children at the same time, by listening to our parents, we set a great example, a dugma, for our children. Because yes, one day we'll want our children to listen to us as well. But if they see us constantly dismissing our parents, never seeking their advice or counsel, never listening to them, never speaking to them about the big decisions, then they'll learn and ask, why do I need to listen to my mother or father? And there's the great challenge. As our children become young adults, can they not only see us listen to our parents from time to time, can we learn to pull back when they don't want to hear from us? Can we walk the line? Not letting our egos be so big that we automatically expect our children to not only listen to us, but always follow our advice, word from word. And it's not easy. Now, as I have 2 kids in college and one about to graduate high school, I've realized what the biggest challenge for me is. It's that I'm no longer there on a daily basis to help with their decisions. And there are times my ego calls out to me. I say to myself inside, my ego calling out, how could my children not want my advice all the time? I'm the best father that ever lived. But when my ego calls out, it's time to remember that I'm clearly not the best father that ever lived. And most importantly, it's time to remember how I felt when I was 18, 19, and 20 years old. When making decisions, often my parents were the last people I would consult. It's not that I never reached out. I still sought their advice when making the big decisions. But I was getting older. It was time to chart my own course and trust that I was old enough to make those decisions. And in many ways, my own children are now doing the same. Yes, there are times they do reach out, and I have to remember it's often not through a phone conversation, but it's through a text. But with those reaching out, and when they reach out for those big decisions, they're still wanting my advice. They don't always follow my lead. They often go their own way. And that's how I know I did okay as a parent. And most importantly, in the long run, they will be fine. My friends, as we go through life's journey, can we keep our egos in check, learning from the examples we see on the world stage and in our Torah, learning to hear those who love us the most, reminding ourselves that there are those who love us so much, they only seek to speak to us, give us their counsel. They only seek to better our lives. And by doing so, we set an example for those who come after us. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're now ready to continue our service as we rise for the beginning of the Musaf service, page 184.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי והמליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה, ובזמן קריב ויאמרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי דקודשו בריחו לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה טול שפחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ויאמרו Amen.
And now we continue together with the Musaf Amidah, page 185.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarai Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibur VeHanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גואל לבני בניכם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד מגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה, רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל החיים בחסד, בחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. זונח נופלים ורופא חולים, ולמתיר אסורים, ולמקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מלחמך בעל גבורות, ולמידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. בנאמן אתה להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נעריצך ונקדישך, כסוד שיח, שרפי קודש, אילי, המקדישים שמך בקודש, כאב בתול ביד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו, כבודו מלא עולם, משתיו שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו, לאומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, ממקומו יפן ברחמים, ויכון עם המייחדים שמו. ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד, ערב ובוקר בכל יום תמיד. פעמיים מאחווה שמע אומרים, שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו, שהנית עיני כל חי. הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו, והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו, שהנית לעיני כל חי. להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ודברי קודשך כתוב לאמור, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד קודשך, ולנצח נצחים קדושך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We now continue silently, page 188 to page 192. And as you finish your silent prayer, you may be seated as the cantor continues.
Page 189.
ישמחו במלאכותך, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג, עונג שבת. ישמחו במלאכותך, ישמחו במלאכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג, עונג שבת.
We continue with Kaddish Shalom, page 203.
יתגלה ויתגלה שמי רבה, ועלמתי בראקירותי, והמליך מלכותי, וחייכון וימכון וחייך בית ישראל, והגלה בזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם מעמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתעשה, ויתדע ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקודשה. ריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירון ועלמה, ואמרו אמן. תתקבץ לו תהון ובתנוחו ישראל, הודם עוון ושמיה, ואמרו אמן. יהי שבר במצ'מיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
All right, Mazel Tov, Haley, on a beautiful job this morning. You were fantastic last night and today. And in celebration of your great Simcha, we're happy to present you with some wonderful gifts, a beautiful tzedakah box from our Beth Yeshurun Sisterhood, a Kiddush cup from our Beth Yeshurun 100 Jewish Men, a gift certificate to a local kosher restaurant, and to the Evelyn Rubenstein Jewish Community Center. A $100 State of Israel bond, courtesy of the AI Minette Shep's Israel Bonding Fund, and of course, a certificate, a bat mitzvah. Hayla, I have to say, not only do I love the fact that you prepared so hard, but you were fantastic. We can tell just how comfortable you are on the bima, what a beautiful voice you have, and what a great presence you have. You worked hard, and it's evident to everyone here. And I also like the fact that you participated by doing a mitzvah project, working at kids' meals, to provide meals for kids who are in need. And you're also participating in our Rabbi's 10% plan by donating 10% of your monetary gifts to the bereaved families of the FIDF, Friends of the Israel Defense Forces. I know this place is very important to you and your family. Your mother was raised at Beth Yeshurun. Your paternal grandfather had his bar mitzvah at Beth Yeshurun. You and your siblings also went to school here. And so this place, I know, holds a special heart for you and your entire family, a special place in your heart for everyone that you know and those closest to you. And I've had the privilege of seeing you grow up. I did your naming 13 years ago. And since that time, Haley, I've always seen you to be a kind, caring, and very special young woman. You're a good and loyal friend, and you're a young woman who deeply loves other people, including your siblings, Jack and Natalie, and you're always happy for the two of them. And since the day you were born, Haley, I have to say you've had that good but defiant independent streak that have kept your parents on their toes. It's that red hair. And everywhere you go, people comment on that red curly hair. You've been told too many times that you look like the Disney character Merida from Brave more times than your parents can remember. But you have that spirit and that strong will and that determination that's carried you through life. For example, in the summer of 2020, you decided you wanted to become a pitcher in softball. That despite, as your parents told me, you spent your first few years in softball as an enthusiastic grass plucker. But you said, it doesn't matter, I'm going to practice, and I'm ultimately going to become a solid and good pitcher. And you did it. And you now pitch for your middle school team, despite the challenges of being a little shorter and smaller than most pitchers your age. It's that strong will and determination that, again, has carried you. And I know it will carry you through life as you continue to develop as a pitcher while balancing school, volleyball, and theater. You often know what you need and what you want, and you get it, while keeping that cool and calm composure. You also don't mind the spotlight, as we heard today. You're blessed with a beautiful singing voice. And your last night, when you did Hashki Venu with Kenner Goldman, was absolutely terrific. And I know people will be talking about it for a long time. Getting up in front of people, projecting that beautiful singing voice, has allowed you to be cast in many fun roles at the JCC and now at Emory Weiner. Always working hard and blowing everyone away. Most importantly, making your parents, your siblings, your grandparents, and all those who love you very proud, as they're very proud today. Hey, I recently asked you, what do you love about your Judaism? And you said it's the holidays. Not only do I get school off, but I get those special foods, and most importantly, I get time with my family. And I know you have a family that loves you, and you're blessed to be with them. It's so many different holidays throughout the year. Haley, in our Torah portion today, not only do we learn more about the Passover story, but we see the question of the wise child. What does this mean? What does this service mean? What does all this Judaism mean? It's the wise child because the wise child cares. He or she is trying to learn more as they get older. They want to know because they know it affects them. It affects their souls. The values of our people, they want those values because they know it can better their lives. Your parents have raised you to be a wise child, someone who cares about their Judaism and who wants to learn more. And so now the challenge is for you, Haley. Continue to be that wise child, someone who is curious about her tradition, someone who wants to learn more, and someone who's proud of the people of Israel and the Jewish people. Your parents have done well, and now it's up to you to continue that life journey as you become an adult Jewish woman. Mazel tov, Haley, on an absolutely beautiful job this Shabbat. And now it's my pleasure with Kenner Goldman to bless you before the open ark with the blessings of our people. Please rise. So we'll head up there. May God always bless you and keep you, Haley, as you're a source of pride today to your family, your community, and the entire house of Israel. May God always bless you and keep you. May God always show you his favor and be gracious to you. May God always show you God's kindness and give you that great gift, that gift of shalom, the gift of peace always. And let us say, Amen.
Aleinu leshabech ladon hakol, latet gedula liatzer breshit, shalom osanus liharatzot, velo samanu kamish bechod ha'adama, shalom samchel keinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומשה ויקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו כה כתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשפטות על לבבך כי אדוני הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Now we invite all those in mourning and all those observing a yard site to remain standing for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 207. Yitzgadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirteh v'yamlik machuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agalav v'zman kari v'yemru amen, yehei shmei rabbah mivarach le'olam omei amaya. Yitzbarach v'yishtabach v'yitzba'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu le'ela min kol berkata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechemata da'amiram v'yama v'yimru amen yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. You may be seated. Just one announcement I wanted to share with everyone. Now that we're less than 2 months away, I hope everyone on their calendars will be here on March 23rd. It's going to be a very special night in the history of our congregation. Not only will I have the opportunity to hear from Cantor Goldman, it's going to be a beautiful concert with her and 2 other extraordinary female cantors, close friends with Cantor Goldman. The three of them together make what's known really across the Jewish world now as the Shul Sisters. It's going to be a beautiful concert that evening. It'll be an opportunity to come together and to hear Cantor Goldman along with 2 other impressive cantors. And we'll also have an opportunity that evening to honor Rabbi Jack and Toby Siegel. So it'll be a beautiful night, an important night. Hope to see all of you here. Again, that's Thursday night, March 23rd. Look for more information soon. And again, I hope to see all of you here that evening. Again, I want to wish Mazel Tov to Haley on a beautiful bat mitzvah this weekend, and to her proud parents, to Rob and Donna and all her family. And we're all invited to join them in the Pulaski Rouch Auditorium immediately following our service for a special Kiddush lunch and an opportunity to wish Mazel Tov to the family. I now want to invite all of Haley's friends and classmates that are here to come up to the bima and to help Haley end our service. First, we turn to page 211 with the Don Alum. Now please rise for the Kiddush and the Hamotzi.
Is there piano? No? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam